It's that sad time of the year again, the end of the season. I've been out on the kayak for the last time, and I'm going to take you through the steps that I do to put this away. And in order, it is strip it, clean it, inspect it, repair it, and optimize it. Let's get into it, and I'll just summarize each step. You don't need to see me do everything. So the first step is strip it, and by what I mean by that is take everything off, take everything down to the bare hull. I'll go do that right now. Don't forget to take off your seat rails. You don't know what's underneath here. Mine just come off with a couple screws, and I'll get them off, and then I think I'll be down to the bare bones on this thing. Boy, that's pretty nasty under there. Look at the sand that's accumulated. This is why you got to take everything down to the bare bones. Here's why you need to do this more than I have. Look at this. This carabiner is totally jammed. I can't twist anything. In addition to being my stand-up assist rope, this is also my kayak rescue ladder, and I need to be able to get this off easily if my kayak flipped to be able to get back on. So hopefully a little bit of WD-40 will penetrate in here, and I'll be able to get this off. And boy, that's a lesson learned to me. I got to do this more often. Look at all this stuff that came out of my kayak. It's stripped down to the bare bones. I've got to clean every piece of this as I reinstall it. Now the reason I clean before I inspect is you don't know what the dirt and grime and sand might be hiding in terms of damage. So the next step is to go clean. Now the question is, what kind of soap do you use? Everyone kind of agrees that it's mild soap, but what the heck is that? For sure it's not dishwashing detergent. So what I use is a light mixture of car wash soap. You know, it's clear coat safe, so it's gentle, and I basically use about half of what I'd use on my vehicle. So I'm going to go hose this sucker down, and I'm going to clean this thing off, and then I can do the inspection. One of the initial decisions you need to make is which end of the kayak do you want to push all the dirt and grime to. I've chosen the front because my scupper holes are closest to this part of the hull. If I went in the back, it'd take a lot more effort to get all the stuff out of a scupper hole. So I'm going to start at the back, and I'm going to work my way forward. You know, one other thing is you need to get yourself one of these brushes or something similar. This has the plastic bristles, and you're going to need that to get inside your rail. I got this at Harbor Freight along with a couple others. Got the top all cleaned up here, and what I'm looking for, the big thing is, are there any cracks? And in particular, I'm looking around my scupper holes because, like I'll mention again when I look at the bottom, these are the weakest part of the kayak. I'm sticking my fingers in there to see if I can't feel any difference in the elevation of the HDPE hull, which would indicate that there's a crack. In addition, I'm looking at all my utility tracks to make sure that the screws or the rivets that are holding them down are all still unbroken and in place. Then I'm also going to look for anything that's rusted that looks like it might fail. And I know that I've got to replace some of the washers I've got in a few places where you can see the rust marks right here, that even though they were supposed to be stainless steel, something rusted. So I'll go top to bottom on the top of the boat and make sure that there's nothing up here that I need to repair. Then we'll flip it over, do the same thing on the bottom. Got the bottom clean, and now I need to do the inspection. I know there's a lot of little turned up pieces of plastic, and we'll cover those in the repair because every one of those is slowing down this kayak and causing drag. But what I'm doing right now is I'm running my hands along the hull, kind of poking at things where I think there might be a crack, and looking for anything that's a gouge, that's deep, or, heaven forbid, a crack. In particular, I'm paying attention to my scupper holes because that is the weakest part of one of these molded hulls. I've already done the check here, and thankfully there's nothing terminally wrong with this expensive boat. But I do have some repair I need to do, and we'll talk about that next. But I'm still not done with the cleanup. I still have all this stuff that I need to take care of. And you can see that I've got a pretty bad one right here that I need to fill in. So you can either go to Harbor Freight and get their cheap plastic welder that may last for 1 or 2 sessions, or you can pony up the money and get the KC Welder Pro, and I'll link up the link to this down below, and this will last you pretty much forever. Now, whenever you're using plastic welding, you need to wear gloves, and the first thing you want to do is warm up the kayak a little bit using a heat gun, but not a lot of heat, just enough to raise the temperature a little bit. You can get HDPE welding strips from the manufacturer, or you can get them commercially, or you can just cut up some containers that you've got from anywhere. Most of them are HDPE, and you can tell that if they've got a 2 in the recycle on the bottom. I've got a whole playlist on kayak welding, so I'm not going to repeat that here. I'll just link it up. After you're done repairing the big gouges, then you need to go sand down all the scratches. And what you want to do here is just turn over the sides. You don't want to sand out the scratches. That'll damage your boat. You just want to knock down the edges where they've been turned up. And the reason for that is it will improve your speed as you move through the water. What you don't want to do is wax the kayaks, and there's 2 reasons for that. The guys at Epic Kayak Racing did a test where they waxed the bottoms of their kayaks and determined that waxing only gave them an almost unmeasurable amount of improvement in speed. So it did improve it this much, but the big negative, and the reason you don't want to do it, is that wax may throw off all sorts of odors that will repel fish. So don't do that. Now when you get to the sanding stage, start with 400, go to 600, and then 800. And again, you're just knocking down all the stuff that's sticking up, because that's what's going to catch on the water and create a drag. So you just basically want to be able to run your hand over it and feel the smooth hull of the kayak as if it came back from the factory. Now I like using an electric sander because I'm lazy and I want to get it over with quickly. Here's a quick tip on all these little fuzzy shavings that get turned up when you run over something fast. You got to get rid of these because they're going to slow you down, but sanding isn't going to cut it. What you have to do is take your heat gun, and then with a glove you smooth it down once the fuzzy gets warm. Let me show you. Now that the hull is done, the last and final step is to go ahead and apply some 303 protectant. What this does is it protects your boat from UV and also provides some level of cracking and fading protection. And it's easy to apply. Just get a rag, squirt the boat, and just rub it on and you're done. And with that, I'm done with my winter maintenance for this season, and I can put the boat back together and store it until I'm ready to go out in early March or so. Have I missed anything? Do you guys do anything else to get your boat ready for the winter and protect it over the long cold months? If so, throw it in the comments below. I'd like to learn. Thanks.